I bought my dream car nearly 12 months ago. This Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale hadn't been driven properly for around 10 years, and I won it at auction around 30 or even 40 grand under market value. The last year has been all about getting used to life with a CS and slowly bringing it back up to speed and getting it ready for some big adventures in the future. This includes some mechanical work, paint and body inspections, thoughts on audio and infotainment upgrades, and 5,000 road miles bedding it in. In this video, I want to update you on where we're at and talk through the winter cosmetic changes that will be happening so that next year I can have my dream spec Challenge Stradale ready to be fully enjoyed and exploited. I don't know if you agree, dude, but I think this year we've been fairly lucky with this car. Like, things I feel like have gone better than we were expecting. Because when I came here in January, all excited with my new car, you prepared a very long list of work that we kind of needed to get done. But we were also expecting more work to kind of crop up as I started to put the miles on the thing. But it hasn't really. Like, it's been, am I right? It's been positive.
No, absolutely, 100%. So the car hadn't been used for quite some time. It had been out sporadically, and if you look at the MOT history, you can see it's done 50 miles here, 100 miles there, but really hasn't really been used. And fully, we were expecting, and I was trying to prepare you and brace yourself that there might be a load of stuff that just comes to the surface after it's been used for a few thousand miles.
I think you were more nervous than I was.
Yes. However, it's not really been the case at all.
There's been little niggly things that we noticed, which, if anything, have been more, not cosmetic, but just, little rattles, little, the windscreen that we needed to replace after I got that big chip, and it wasn't actually a Stradale windscreen anyway. So, bits and bobs like that, but no touch wood. Where's the wood? God damn it, all this. No major kind of mechanical boo-boos, as we would say.
No, not at all. It's all been either really common stuff for a 360 Challenge Stradale, main thing being the brakes seizing, and that's really common for all carbon ceramic braked cars of this era, and maintenance. And we went a little bit extra with when we did the timing belts. They weren't technically due, I don't think, but we decided to do them anyway. We decided to time the engine. That's a luxury. In doing that, we used a whole load of extra parts for like cam seals, valve cover gaskets, and things like that. We obviously did the trev tune. Bit of a luxury as well, not an essential, but most of it has been just maintenance, little fiddly bits here and there. So we've done a full inspection of the car, and everything is absolutely tip-top. So we haven't even serviced the car. It hasn't done enough miles to be serviced. We'll service it in the spring before you actually go out on your road trips again. But went through it front to back, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing.
Well, that's always encouraging.
Which is great. It's just these little annoying bits and pieces.
Well, talk everyone through what you've done at the back around the exhaust and the silencers.
We'll come along to the little tapping underneath the floor tray in a second. But at the back, you've reported and we've noticed quite a lot of noise from the exhaust area. We also, if people remember, or you remember, when we did the static inspection back at the beginning of the year, this exhaust silencer wasn't fitted properly, and it actually cut into the chassis down here. Yeah,
there was a lot of sort of corroded or cut away
damage, and that. So we've had the whole exhaust off. We've replaced the exhaust valves because they like to rattle, they wear out. So we, rather than buy a whole new exhaust pipe section for where the valve is located, the actual pipes themselves are actually perfectly serviceable. So we cut the valve out, weld a new valve in, and then that's that bit repaired. Whilst the exhaust was out, we actually repaired the frame. So there's two parts to this repair. This box that holds the latch on for the boot lid, that had a load of stuff ground away. That was quite easy because this just comes off and detaches and goes on the welding bench. And we put a new plate in. The frame was a little bit more tricky because it's obviously part of the frame of the car, but we're able to weld in some small fillet repairs, build the weld up, grind it back, and then it's all been refinished in the correct 3M finish. And it looks, even though I may say so myself, absolutely factory.
Yeah, it looks fantastic and so much cleaner. It was all sort of looking a bit tight and cramped back there. Something didn't look sort of correctly aligned. It was just a bit messy. And yeah, every time I got to sort of 3,000 RPM. Anyway, there was this sort of rattle that sort of came through that was just a bit annoying as I was cruising around Casino Square in Monte Carlo.
So there will be a few more rattles here because the silencer is actually broken down inside. And the baffles in there, if you probably won't be able to pick that up in the video, but if you give it a thwack with your fist, then you can feel the baffles and hear them rattling. So we do need a new silencer.
Yeah, so we've ordered one of those.
I think
right?
I can get a brand new one.
Okay.
We need the heat shields as well for that because these have got some cracks in them. Sure. When it first came in here, we did actually weld these up, but that's failed again. So new silencer and heat shields, and then that will be that bit sorted. But
amazing.
It's already a lot better. This noise from here is only when it's cold. When the silencer gets hot, it all expands and everything kind of grips back together again. But
sure.
So the rattling exhaust valve is they've
fine.
gone.
We're getting there. We're getting there. But
yeah, absolutely.
Final little touches, I guess, when it comes back for, as you say, that service in the spring post all the other work. But you mentioned the sort of the knocking,
the way that you described it, it sounded like somebody was knocking on a door to try to get in.
Yeah, it was a really weird thing.
Underneath the passenger seat. Yeah. So I was expecting when we put the car up in the air for the under tray to be broken. So where the seat is, there's a massive tray at the back, and you've got the leading edge. And I thought that expected the fasteners to be broken and then the wind to be catching it and for it to be tapping and banging. Yeah. However, it was absolutely fine. So there was no damage to the tray whatsoever. We couldn't reproduce it here. But that's because of the local roads, and doing 80 miles an hour on a local road around here in the autumn is not really ideal.
Nope.
But what we did do was there's foam strips on the leading edge of the tray. We've actually taken them out and replaced those, and they're to actually seal the tray up against the flat floor to stop air getting in. So we've done that, and I've taken it up to 80 mile an hour and above on a private test track, of course. And there's no noise. So I'm hopeful
Fingers
next
crossed.
time you're on the Autobahn or somewhere outside of the UK that has been resolved.
Fine. Well, we won't know until then, so plenty of time to figure things out. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, because obviously, you know, when I got this car through an auction, it sort of felt like a bit of a steal. You know, hard to completely read where the market is at on these cars. You'll know better than I do. But we've probably spent, what, 8 or 9 grand on all this work this year? Or?
Yeah, I think including the VAT, it's 10.
Okay, around 10 to kind of get it into this shape.
And of course, there's quite a few luxuries in there, which we've talked about, quite a few essentials. But if you kind of fold it into the buying cost of the car, you know, it was bought unseen, no real knowledge of what it was going to happen, actually having 10 grand on it, and that includes running it over several thousand miles.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that bad.
No, I think we were all expecting far worse.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, but these cars can swallow tens of thousands of pounds in deferred maintenance. It could quite easily have had most of the ball joints shot. You know, the flam blocks could be knackered, and we could have just been doing a suspension refresh. But you know, we've replaced 1 or 2 ball joints here and there, a couple of shock bushes. The big thing was the brake rebuild. Mm-hmm. That's a big expense. Just the parts alone are over £1,000. And obviously the servicing and other bits and pieces. It's
of course. I mean, I'm not naive enough to say, well, there, we've done that now. This point forward, it's just going to be the annual service, you know, as ever, as we found out with the Modena. You know, I think obsessive attention to detail, as you guys do so well in terms of the maintenance of these cars, is essential for how I use them. We're going to have to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, and it should be something that's familiar to anybody that owns a Ferrari of this era. The service is just a small part of the upkeep, and if you look at a car and if it's only had for the last 5 years, it's just had an annual service every 5 years, it's going to be full of deferred maintenance. There's always something, there's always a list, there's always something to do. Even if you don't drive the car, there's always something that's worn out or perished or what have you.
Got to be proactive. But I think the 10k we spent on it this year has, as I say, been good just to get it to that base level where we kind of know what we're dealing with now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
so it should be pretty plain sailing from here.
He says
Jinxed
with
it now, right?
Smirk, yeah,
You know.
with a slight smirk. Well, so of course, we're going to discuss more in this video my plans for this car over the winter, but it's going into a 2025 where, fingers crossed, we can really hit the road with this thing and start mounting up the miles, which will probably make us a little bit nervous. He'll be going back on everything he just said. But no, well, look, thank you for holding my hand through this year. It's been a pretty monumentous moment for me to finally buy one of these cars, and there were a lot of question marks, but you've been great at sort of actually reassuring me along the way, and I think it's been a pleasant surprise for both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. When you said that you sent me the link and said, "Oh my God, I think I've won this car," everyone was just like, "Yeah,
Clear the workshop."
It's been good. It's a bit of luck, and also credit to the people that have been looking after it before.
Absolutely. Well, I will see you early next year when this car's going to probably look quite different for its final checks before we then hit the road. So I guess have a great Christmas and a great New Year. Thank you for the work. See you in 2025.
Definitely.
Cheers, mate. Next stop was Hilton and Moss, one of the biggest and best restorers and paint shops in Europe. You may remember I went there with my car earlier this year and they inspected the paint and found, well, not an unusual amount of corrosion for Ferraris of this era, but at least enough that meant by the time they fixed it and repainted those areas, we were going to be repainting about 75% of the car. So it gave me the unique opportunity for a potential colour change. And whilst the launch specification of a Challenge Rally is iconic, in my head, when I ended up buying my dream car, I didn't always think that I would get a launch spec Rosso Scuderia car. So this, as I say, was a potentially exciting opportunity to create my own unique spec. Now, it's fair to say, whilst I didn't always know exactly what my dream Challenge Rally would look like, I probably always knew it was going to be red. I am a cliched Ferrari enthusiast. I owned that red 316 Modena for a number of years, and I've been driving around this Rosso Scuderia Challenge Rally for the last year and kind of enjoying it. So I was probably never going to go yellow or blue or something even wilder. The thing is, though, when it comes to red Ferraris, there are about 1,000 different reds to pick from, which the team at Hilton and Moss know all too well. You might remember Will and Ashley from last time I was down here. I have been boring these guys senseless with 1,000 different sample choices over the last few months, being like, let's try Rosso Fuoco. What about Rosso Fiorano? I found a new Rosso no one's ever heard of. But we settled on 3 kind of final colours, which is Rosso Corsa, which is, yes, what my Modena was, Rosso Fiorano, which is a colour I've seen on a Challenge Rally in Switzerland, and actually if you Google Rosso Fiorano Challenge Rallies, there's quite a number of cars that come up. It's very good looking, or it looks great on picture. And then finally Rosso Barchetta, which is a very historic Ferrari colour and kind of harks back to some of their earliest F1 and kind of race cars. Now, before I reveal my choice, I don't know if we're actually all agreed on my choice, so let me quiz you. Ashley first, out of the 3 that we kind of boiled it down to, which is your favourite?
So for me it's Fiorano. The colour just is such a nice deep metallic. I think it really works. And
it's got a little sparkle, doesn't it?
It modernises the Stradale.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I'm a bit of an old soul, Ashley. I'm a bit of an old soul, which I know, well, you kind of are too.
Old before my time.
Yeah, me too, mate.
I thought we were going blue.
No, you wanted blue.
Yeah.
Stop trying to force that, because the whole internet is going to go, yeah, it should have been blue or green.
You wait till it turns out blue.
No, yeah, see, don't you secretly paint it blue.
Put it in the gun.
Okay, well, it's going red, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
so out of these 3, did you have a...
I like the Barchetta. I think it's additional, isn't it? And it's totally unique, and I think it's timeless as well, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, drum roll, please. It is the Barchetta that I have chosen. Yes, this kind of rich, deep, flat, historic red is the colour that my Challenge Stradale is going to be repainted. If I'm honest, this was always kind of the colour that I wanted to go for. This is where we began our conversations, and then we tried these kind of various other options, and I just kept coming back to Barchetta. And it also kept kind of following me around the world. You might remember earlier this year during the Quail Rally, I saw an F8 Tributo in Rosso Barchetta. I went to the Ferrari factory. We walked into the actual production line. The tour guide was like, does anyone know this colour? I was like, it's Rosso Barchetta. So I immediately emailed these guys and said, guys, I think I know what it's going to be. And yes, there we go. My CS going the historic, kind of the original Ferrari red Rosso Barchetta. Now, thing which I don't really want to know the answer to. Have I chosen the most expensive Rosso I could have? Is this like some insanely complicated Ferrari red, or is it hopefully quite simple?
No, it's not too bad. It's not
too bad.
It could be better, could be worse.
Yes.
It's similar to the sense of Rosso Corsa. It's got to have a base layer. So you've got, we'll do it in a water-based paint. So you'll have a base layer, then the base coat, and then your lacquer on top. So you'll have on this case, I think it's a medium grey base layer, and that'll give you the right depth and the right colour that you're looking for.
Because it is a very rich red, isn't it? And even on that little sample there, which I say thank you very much for making these up today. Can I keep this, by the way? I'm going to take this away with me, I think. But it does, it's got real soul to it. And that wouldn't be achieved without the base layer?
Yeah, so the thing with it, although it's not a metallic, as you say, it's got loads of depth to it, and that comes through the base layer. Being such a traditional colour, we did have to do quite a few spray outs, played around with it a bit to get the right shade. Obviously Ferrari have got their own ways of doing that, but we've got it just right, using the schemes.
Amazing. And as far as I know, I don't think there are any other Rosso Barchetta Cianstradales in the world. I could easily be wrong, and I don't care. I'm not going for a super unique colour. I'm just going for my colour. As I say, this was about creating my dream Cianstradale. I am an old soul. I do like the history. I do like all of those elements, and this just feels right. But the sort of big question which we had once we had chosen the colour is, what do we do about the stripe? Because you might remember that is a factory painted stripe on my car, which is quite a sought after thing when it comes to the world of collectors. But obviously I'm not a collector. I begged, stealed and borrowed the money to buy that thing when I won it at auction. So I don't really care about the stuff. And whilst you guys sometimes draw breath and think, what are you doing? I have decided no stripe. Yeah, we are going to be getting rid of that factory paint stripe. Look at them nervously both smiling. He's going to regret this. Yeah.
That's on you.
yeah. But my feeling is if I do really regret and miss that, I can always add a vinyl stripe. I don't care about value here. It's about, as I say, creating my car. And I've never been that fussed about stripes on the special Ferrari. So yes, you have my permission. You can sand down, you can get, I don't know what you have to, what do you have to do? So is this a bare metal job?
Well, not entirely. So with the age of the car and the condition it's in, which is, I know we reviewed its condition, but on the whole it's very good. We'll only bare metal it or take it back to the bare material, whether it's plastic or metal, in the areas where it needs it. So it'll be repaired, it'll be primed, then have your base layer, and then your base coat of the paint, and then your lacquer. So it's not entirely bare metal, not a full restoration, so to speak.
Will there be a dramatic moment that I can post to the Ferrari Owners Club forum where you're literally sort of sanding away the original stripe?
100%.
Yes, okay, great.
We're going to be gathering it and selling it. Gathering the dust.
That will be triggering someone, but as I say, I'm excited and I can't wait. And so, timing-wise, I know I'm sure that's your least favourite question, but do you have a rough estimate to when people might be able to see? Well, I'm going to be able to see my final kind of...
It's the scary question to restore. But we say 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months,
yeah.
okay.
It's a fine. Slow process, and we've got to get it right for you. But 2 to 3 months to strip it down, the paint process, and then refit it for you how you want it.
That's perfect, because in my mind, my dream is to be able to take my sort of, my dream spec car, my dream car, on road trips starting from kind of spring next year. So no pressure. But, I need it back. But I can't wait. And, given the work that I've seen you guys do, I know it's going to turn out fantastic. And I'm so pleased with this choice. Not everyone will agree, especially Ashley, but it's not what it's about. And thank you again. I'm taking this away. Thank you again for all of your help. And I guess the channel and I will see you again in a few weeks or months. Maybe we'll do an update halfway through with what you found, some of the work that's been done before we get the finished product.
Hopefully nothing too scary.
Fingers crossed, mate. You're telling me. All right, guys. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, it's a few days later, and as maybe you can see, the weather has turned fairly miserable. But it's why doing this kind of restoration over the winter is a good idea. Because I'm not going to be using this car that much between now and spring, because it's just, well, it's not pointless to do so, because you can still get lots of enjoyment out of it, but just realistically, might as well do it now so that I'm ready to launch into an epic 2025 season. I've just made my sort of final stop in terms of putting the jigsaw together for this restoration. The final piece was D-Class Automotive. Regular viewers will know that I've used D-Class for a number of things over the years. They actually retrimmed the steering wheel in my 360 Modena, built me a custom parcel shelf for my 911 Carrera T, a few other things. They actually did the Pasha seats in my GT3, etc., etc. They are world class, and they're going to be re-trimming this interior because, just like the Rosso Scuderia paint, I was never obsessed with this kind of two-tone red and black interior. And also, if I'm going Rosso Barchetta on the outside, I think this lighter red on the inside will look a bit weird. So we're re-trimming it. But I haven't fully decided exactly what I want to do in here. I think I want to keep to the overall ideology of a kind of lightweight Alcantara suede type interior. But I'm looking at a few leathers as well. I think I want to go historic-y, maybe with a dark blue, because Ferrari race cars of yesteryear were red on the outside and blue on the inside. A lot of people do a very sort of vibrant, saturated blue if they're doing something similar these days. I don't love that. I want something a bit more navy, a bit darker, a bit deeper. Found a nice few samples. There's a few other colours that I'm looking at. Also looking at some leather options too. So we've got a little bit of time, whilst Hilton and Moss need to kick the ball or start the ball, need to get things started ASAP. They can take all of this interior out, deliver it to D-Class. We can take our time slightly with choosing the final materials. I've walked away with a few samples which I'm going to hold up against the paint sample a bit later. But yeah, that's kind of it. The only other two things I'll mention are the sticky buttons. I'm going to get all of this stuff refreshed. It's actually not too bad in this car, but there's a few things that could look better. So they'll be sent off to be redone. And then the radio head unit. I just want to replace it with a slightly more up-to-date Bluetooth compatible system, something really high quality. I was thinking of doing a whole audio system update, but I don't think I will. I'm just going to replace that head unit. And then finally, if you're a 3D printer or you own a 3D printing company, please get in touch. So I've had a bit of a rogue and I think unique idea for something in this. I'm not going to talk about it because it might not be possible. But if you own a 3D printing company, please do get in touch and I'll let you know. And yeah, that's kind of that. So I've got my dream car, and this is about now turning it into my dream specification. Team at AV Engineering have been amazing at, getting it mechanically in this place. Only a couple more jobs to do there. Then by the time it's painted, the interior's done, the sticky buttons are sorted, got a different radio unit in here. I'm going to be ready and set to launch into 2025 and beyond with my ultimate Stradale, and it is so exciting. I cannot wait, and I still can't get my head around the fact that this is my car. I do need to do the paint because of the corrosion. I don't really need to do anything else, so I'm spoiling myself by making this many changes. But it was the one benefit of getting the car from auction at slightly below market value. I had that room to play with. I'm probably going to be back at, if not a bit above, market value, because this car's now ticked over 40,000 miles. By the time I've done all this work and all the mechanical work we've done over the years, I'll probably be a little bit over, but who cares? I have no plans to sell this thing, and so spend a bit more than market value on my dream thing, it makes sense. Anyway, I'm rambling because I'm excited. I hope you've enjoyed this update video. I hope you're intrigued and excited to see what the car will look like spring next year when it's all done. For now, give the video a thumbs up, stay subscribed. Plenty more videos to come.